So you taught criminal law and statistics at El Paso Community College for 7 years. What did teaching give you that practicing law doesn't?
Teaching, I've always enjoyed teaching at the college level. I think it's kind of giving back to the community, sharing with, presumably the knowledge that I've accumulated and what I have. But I like to see uh, young kids and the younger generation who's in training to take our place, because eventually we're all going to be gone, and it's going to be our kids and their kids who are going to hopefully carry the mantle of what we're establishing and doing here. And I think education is the best way to accomplish that. I obviously it's an oxymoronic to say this, but I mean I wouldn't be here without education, obviously. But I was the first person in either of my families, mother or father's side, to go to college, let alone to go to law school. And so I'm not. I do appreciate the fact that of what that means to the legacy of my family, my kids, my son, who's now about to graduate. He's a senior at UTEP as well, business major, and he's potentially going to go to law school. So I see it in him. But education, I think, is the great equalizer for society and for minorities like myself and other people, women, Hispanic, African Americans, whomever it might be, people who are maybe less fortunate than we are. I didn't grow up all that wealthy. My parents struggled like a lot of parents did, and but with education and paying for it and going through and studying, and I'm very blessed these days, and I'm glad that I did go to school. So I try to give that back to these students. Say, look, if I did it, I'm no different from any of you sitting out here. You guys can do it as well.
Well, I have another client who he talks very affectionately about the ability to he has is a successful law practice, and he's was just thrilled that his son has come to work alongside him. He was scared at first, though, that he was going to be, maybe too much in his soup. But he found out that he ended up that's not the way that it worked. He actually was able to, um, and they built a good relationship working together. Anyway, just on that side note about your son. So you served on the El Paso Bar Association board. What's the biggest challenge facing attorneys in border communities right now?
I would say the biggest issue for attorneys is a lot, at least here locally in El Paso and Las Cruces. The biggest issue is, I think, the the intersection of mental health issues when they conflict with law enforcement and the citizens that in these areas. It's a popular topic. It's an emerging topic, but I think a lot of times when we have interaction with law enforcement and individuals who are suffering from some sort of mental health affliction, it ultimately leads to a bad result, and we see a lot of that lately. And a lot of it here on the border stems from there's this historically men don't like to go to doctors. I mean, I'll tell I'm one of them. I as a Hispanic male, I was always taught, suck it up. You're nothing's wrong with you. Just put a smile on and go to work. Go do this. Do whatever. And we see. I think that it's changing. Thank goodness. But I think a lot of the citizens here along the border, the men especially, grow up that way, and maybe they do have an affliction that they don't have diagnosed or take medication or help for. And when they're placed into this situation with law enforcement, it kind of rears its ugly head, and we have a lot of issues with that. So I think along the border we do see a lot of that tension between a trying to find ways to address mental health needs and the citizens before they just end up in jail.